Good evening. Kiski family and friends, distinguished faculty and staff, and members of the class of 2017, welcome to our 129th Senior Award Ceremony. This evening marks the beginning of our annual celebration of the senior class, and we are delighted to honor them for their numerous achievements and contributions to all they made this school year a memorable one. At this time, I'd like to invite George Davison to the podium to introduce tonight's first speaker.
Hi, my name is George Davison, and I would like to introduce you to someone who has been a huge positive influence on my life and someone who I aspire to be like every day, my father. For those of you who don't know, my father is a Kiski graduate from the class of 1982. My father is someone who I can always count on and go to for advice. Even with all the responsibilities he has, my father makes an effort to come out to support me during my soccer games and anything I show interest in. After struggling through an extremely painful eighth grade year with awful grades and horrible social and time management skills, I was just getting frustrated with life. That summer, my father told me about when he was in high school and how Kiski had helped change his life in numerous ways. Now, 3 years later, I am graduating from Kiski. My grades have improved for the most part, and I am confident about my future, and I am ready for the challenges that college will present to me. I credit a lot of this success and newfound confidence to the love, support, and guidance I have received from a leader, a role model, and the best father a young man could ever wish for. With great pride, I am happy to introduce my father, George McConnell Davison III.
That'll be a hard act to follow. All right, well, what makes Kiski special? The story of Kiski takes place in a very unique world. In Kiski world, there is a son, and this son comes from many different parents. You see, according to Wikipedia, a parent is the caregiver of a child. So that means, of course, that all the moms and dads in this audience tonight are, of course, a parent. But it also means that all the teachers who are here with us this evening, who've taken care of our sons night and day, are also their parents. And in Kiski world, there are all types of parents. We have the Fairly Odd parents. We have the helicopter parents, and many, many other types of parents here at Kiski. But regardless of what type of parent each one of these teachers is, they are a part of our family. When I attended Kiski, some of my parents were people like Mr. Orsatti, Mr. Yoder, and Mr. Lombardo. Now, I'll let you use your imagination as to which one is the Fairly Odd parent. But at the end of the day, we were all a family. Now, we're going back quite a few years, so things were a little different then. Banter and play was a little rougher back then. But over the years, I had the opportunity to take time and reflect upon my time here at Kiski and try to understand what made Kiski so special to me. Was it all the fun that we had with Mr. Orsatti, or Mr. O as we called him? I mean, think about that. He was about 23 years old. He wasn't much older than us. So I still see that young Mr. O trying to manage all the guys in my class, including Bill Gardner, who's out there somewhere. And that's a hard thing to manage in and of itself. So We were constantly messing with Mr. O in any way we could just to drive him crazy, because then he'd play with us. Which basically meant he would chase us down, tweak our ear, give us a noogie, or whatever it is, but basically the stuff that guys do. The challenge, though, was when he came back from South America one day after a vacation, and he had a 20-foot bullwhip with him. Trust me, the game changed. All of a sudden, you had to be very quick to get away from Mr. O. And it was a fun game, and we played it often. And my brothers from Kiski and I, we always look fondly upon those times. Or maybe Kiski was special because Mr. Yoder ran these crazy experiments in chemistry class. I mean, you just never knew what to expect in Mr. Yoder's class. He always had this never-ending smile and a look in his eye like, if you only knew what we're going to be doing next. So the mystery of that class, it really was interesting to me. And it got the young men in our class to really start to open their minds, to be curious about science. And he made it fun. Or possibly it was the time we had with Mr. Lombardo. He had a very interesting way when he was younger. Nice try. We're going there. But he loved to just insult the intelligence of my brothers and me. And, you know, boys will be boys. And we quickly learned how to get Mr. Lombardo's blood pressure up. Just give him a stupid answer in class that you really knew the answer to, and it was just a matter of time before that chalk eraser came flying through the air. And if you planned it just right, you could swing left or swing right, and that eraser might smack your buddy behind you right in the head. It was just fun banter in class, but all very important, because this is the way families are with one another. We have fun with one another. We do sports together, we eat together, and it gives us confidence. It gives us belief that we can go out because we have a foundation of a strong family underneath of us. But I now realize how close, after all these years, I'm now 53, that my Kiski brothers were to me, and my Kiski parents were to me. Tonight's ceremony is about senior awards. Seniors, please stand. You are all Kiski brothers to me now, and I am a brother to you. And this is our opportunity, while we're all still here, to award our Kiski parents with applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, George. That was a great speech, and there was great pleasure added sitting next to Lombardo for that while he was squirming. This fall, a student stopped by my office and said, "Mr. B, I just met and had a great conversation with Mr. Swank." And there was a momentary pause, and he said, "You know, the Student Center guy." It would be impossible for me to point to someone who loves Kiski more than Russ Swank. He graduated in 1967. He was a prefect his junior and senior years and earned varsity letters in football and wrestling and track. And after college, he went on to serve in the Navy and then came back to run his family's business, Swank Associated Companies, which he's turned into a greatly successful business operation today. Mr. Swank was a longtime member of our Board of Trustees. In fact, in 2002, he was the chairman of the board when I was hired as the new headmaster. So now you know who to blame. Over the years, Mr. Swank's sponsorship has been unmatched. During the 2008 Democratic primary, Hillary Clinton was running against Barack Obama, and she ran a political ad that was meant to highlight her readiness and experience. The commercial opens with a shot. Some of you will remember this. The boys here were probably 10 years old, but parents may remember this. The shot opens with a scene shows a suburban home at night, and then shows a little girl sleeping in her bed, and the narrator says, "It's 3 a.m., and your children are safe and asleep. There's a phone in the White House, and it's ringing. There's a crisis in the world. Your vote will decide who answers that call." Do you remember that? You remember that ad? And it generated a lot of buzz. And a couple days after it ran, Mr. Swank called me at home, and he asked me if I'd seen the ad. I said yes. And he said, "Chris, I want you to know I'm your 3 a.m. call. If there's ever a crisis at Kiski, you give me a call, we'll figure it out together." Now, thankfully, I've never had to call Mr. Swank in the middle of the night, but I've called him plenty of times during the day when we faced problems and challenges at the school, and he's always been there for me, which means he's always been there for Kiski, and I thank him for that. It's my great pleasure to introduce my good friend, the Student Center guy, Mr. Swank.
It's hard to see you, but I know you all stood up a little bit ago. I've heard such great things about this class. Chris has said he's never had any problems with you. And frankly, I know a lot of you guys, and I would say that he just never caught you. Because the guys that I don't know. But, so, okay, you guys didn't get caught, but in the history of Kiski, there was actually a father and son team that did get caught. Their last name was Swank. My dad was here, and he was known for a couple of things. One, he was actually the person that took the bet from all of his buddies he took the bet that you can wade the Kiskiminitis without getting swept away. Well, all of his buddies were on the overlook watching my dad, who would be who was, what in the movie was Blutowski? You guys know who that is? That's my dad. And he always told the story. He loved it. He started on this side, and he kept turning around up to his buddies, and then all of a sudden his buddies weren't there, but the headmaster was up there. And here's another one from my dad. Now, I want you mothers and fathers to think about this. I'm holding here an actual copy of my father's report card. Jimmy Marks was the headmaster. This was on March 2nd, 1942. Now, you'd have to know my grandfather, who was Russell I, then my dad was Junior. My grandfather was a very serious guy, went through the Depression, didn't do so well, but he had one son. He wanted to see young Russell do better. So here is the report card that he received from Headmaster Marks in 1942. Dear Mr. Swank, as you can see from the inside of this report, Russ has hit a new low. For the past 2 months, Up until 2 weeks ago, he seemed to go about systematically antagonizing every teacher he came in contact with. He got so lazy that he could not even take time or energy enough to put his clothes on right. Any attempt by him to excuse his conduct by saying he was in a rut is so much eyewash. He had decided that he was a, quote, big shot. Anyway, that's my father. Now, then back in 1964, Chris, do you still do, on the first day, do you do a new boys meeting or anything like that? You still do? Okay. So I went to dinner, my first day on campus. Oh, boy. Came out, went to Fair Hall. The guys were playing Frisbee. Okay. Hey, that's fun. I'll fit right in. And about 10 after 7, one of the guys said, "Hey, Swank, aren't you a new guy?" "Yeah." "Well, the new boys meeting started at 7, and Mr. Pigeon is running the meeting." And it was in Paradise Hall, which is, you guys didn't know it, but it was a 2-story old wooden building. And as I am told, in the meeting, so Mr. Pigeon was a tough guy. How many of you knew Mr. Pigeon? I can't see all the hands, but he was something wonderful but tough. And I understand that he was, of course, that day he decided to call roll, and it was Ian McLaren here, Joe Rice here, Russ Swank. Russ Swank. Well, Dean Brett, some of you probably knew Dean Clifford Brett, was in the back of the room, and apparently all Jack said is, "Go get him." Well, we collided. I ran from Fair Hall to Paradise and was going up the stairs when Mr. Brett was coming down the stairs, and I tried to sneak into this old wooden building and sit in the back row, but as those of you who knew it, every step, creak, as I tried to just slide into the back row. And of course, Mr. Pigeon, he stops his thing just to glare at me. And then, of course, all the heads slowly turn around to look and see, who's this idiot. And I'll tell you, I thought, as soon as this meeting's over, I'm going outside, I'm going to the gate, I'm hitchhiking home. This is really turning out bad. But anyways, so I got caught. My dad got caught, but you guys didn't get caught. So let me just, so you've been cooped up here at Kiski, some of you for 4 years. And, I wonder if some of you, do you hear what goes on outside of campus, like what your teachers and coaches do? Like the bank robbery in Salzburg last week. Did you guys hear about that? Yeah. Coach Chris Spahn and Marcy were down there actually in line. And they were third in line. And the guy who's first in line at the cashier pulls out a gun and holds up the bank and gets a big boatload of money in a sack. And he turns around to the person second in line and he says, "What did you see?" And the guy says, I saw you rob the bank." Bang. He shoots the guy and the guy falls over dead. Well, and then he turns around to the Spahns. Well, Mrs. Spahn, she had kept her composure. She's right here, but Chris kind of, at the crack of the gun, his hands go up and his deposit slip goes flying. He's like this. And he says, and Darcy's right beside him, he says, "Well, what did you see?" And he looks at the gun and he says, "Sir, I didn't see anything, nothing. I saw nothing." But she saw the whole thing. Or how about How about Joe Ross? Do you guys hear what he did at Christmas time? Oh, yeah. Of course, Joe's tough. He's one of the toughest guys I've ever met. And Joe doesn't, is that Carla that I hear laughing? But anyway, he won't go Christmas shopping. Well, finally, Carla insists, and he goes Christmas shopping. They're going through about the third department store, and Mrs. Ross turns around, and there's no Joe. Well, she says, wonder where he is, and she starts backtracking. And after about a half an hour, she realizes he's gone. So she opens her phone and calls Joe and says, "Where in the world are you?" Well, Coach Ross says, "Well, honey, you remember last summer when we were downtown and we stopped in that little jewelry store with that little silver bracelet that you love so much?" "Oh, Joe, yeah, I do remember that little store." Are you really sure? You remember that little store with that beautiful little bracelet?" "Oh, yeah, Joe. Yeah, Joseph, I really do." "Oh, I remember it so well." And Coach Ross says, "Good, I'm in the sports bar right across the street." All right. Do I have time to tell one more, or do I have to get to the message? All right. So I got to tell you, so I said, which teachers have the best sense of humor and which teachers would the boys like me to tell jokes about? And he sent me a long list, didn't have his name on it. And the next day, he's still so excited, he sends me another list. And so most of you were on it. But anyway, but here's what happened. Last year, when Chris and Steve and Marcus Muster came down to Florida for a promotional thing. So the next day, Marcus and the headmaster didn't have a flight until afternoon, so they decided to go walk on the beach. And wouldn't you know it, they're walking along, and Marcus says, "Hey, what's that shiny thing?" And Chris picks it up, and it's a genie's lantern. Well, they rubbed the lantern, of course, and out came a genie. And the genie says, "I'm going to grant you one wish." Well, they huddled for just a second. They were in Southwest Florida, and they said, "Okay, genie, we thought about it. We want you to build us a bridge. Tourism's opening up in Cuba. We want you to build us a bridge from here to Cuba, and we want 2 big toll plazas on either end where we charge $100 and we're going to make a fortune." And the genie says, "You know, you guys are something. That will probably, that bridge just in setting it up will destroy marine life from here to Cuba. Oh my goodness, you're building it right in the middle of the hurricane zone. But guys, I'll give you a chance, one more chance. Come up with a different wish." Well, they huddled up again, and they came back out of the huddle, and they said to the genie, "Okay, we're both analytical, mathematical, quantitative guys, and we sometimes have trouble understanding how our wives' minds work. We just don't get it, you know. If you can't graph it or put it in an equation or get it out of a computer or something, we don't understand. Megan, I don't know. I don't understand her. Sometimes she gives me the silent treatment. Mary Grace, oh boy, Marcus says, "I come home sometimes. She's mad. I don't even know what she's mad for." And so they said, "Will you tell us how our wives' minds work? Or even better, tell us how a woman's mind works." The genie thought for a second and said, "Do you want that bridge to be 2 lanes or 4 lanes?" My message is going to be pretty short. I love history. In 1808, there was a child born in Kentucky, young a boy, and in 1818, another child was born in Maryland. Of course, the child in Kentucky was Abraham Lincoln, and the child in Maryland was Frederick Douglass. I can't see, but I'd like to make sure, I certainly hope all you freshmen know who Frederick Douglass was. He was unbelievable. And the chance that any of them would even get out of severe, severe poverty, which they shared, was incredibly poor. The fact that either one would make it to the Washington at the crisis of the Civil War was 1 in a million for each one of them, and the fact that they both wind up there was unreal. And Douglass, he didn't always like Abraham Lincoln, and Abraham Lincoln had some pretty poor ideas for a while, but Douglass got to him and they straightened it out. But Frederick Douglass's famous quote is, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." And that to me is, it's so true in the world, but it's true about what we try to do here. You know, I'd ask for hands. Which one of you guys was, let's say, homesick the first few days? Which one of you had a super challenging course? And which one of you lost a game or a match that you shouldn't have lost? And it goes on and on. But that's the point of this place. It wasn't supposed to be easy. That's the difference between this place and a high school or even a day school. This place is tough. And I believe if there is no struggle, there is no progress. He's entirely correct. And so think of this. The next 4 years, I assure you guys, you're going to have struggles. You know what to do because you came here, and that is dig in and fight. Get tough. You can do it. And those struggles will continue after that. I've had tons and tons of failures in my life. I'm a risk taker, and oh boy. And banks and bonding companies, they all threw me out at different points and times. Vendors refused to deal with me. And business-wise, I guess I was dead, except for one thing. I wasn't going to die. And I didn't die. And that came from Kiski. I just refused to die. And yeah, you can have a tough veneer to all that too if you want, when things like that happen to you in your lives. In my case, all those guys that threw me out and wouldn't deal with me, I remembered all their names. But anyway, so here we are tonight. I'm proud, as George said, I can't wait till tomorrow when I get to call all of you guys brothers. I've met so many of you, and you're really, really special guys. But as I end, let me just read a couple of things. Yeah, this place was, it's the special thing about this place, again, is the character development. I've been with players at the Steelers game where people stopped me and said, or excuse me, with Kiski boys at the Steelers game where people stopped me and said, each year, where do you get these young men? They are the finest, most polite young men that we've ever seen. And of course, I'm pretty proud to say, oh, these are Kiski boys. And it's that character and things like that that will win in your lives. And just a couple more quick things. I'm going to skip a few quotes and tell you one other thing about how character or something that started here helped me. 4.5 years ago, I had the greatest son-in-law in the world. He was captain of Stanford's basketball team. He was an Ironman triathlete. He took his Stanford team to the Final Four while he was dating my daughter. And 4.5 years ago, while playing evening game in New York City, he collapsed and died. I was there the next morning for my wife and I were there to be with my daughter as she woke up the three little girls. The oldest one had just finished first grade. And to tell them that Daddy wasn't going to be coming home anymore. I'm a Kiski boy and I don't cry. But I cried a lot that week. So, what about this character stuff? What about this? My brother was there, and on Thursday, we said to each other, and it's still, we're in the front yard of this little house, and it was bad. But we had grown up together, of course, for 20 years in the same bedroom, best friends, and we said, so life's short, what's left to be done? And that's when this character or heart or toughness or whatever you want to call it kicks in. And I said, well, we've always dreamt about owning a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. Well, Russ, do you know any of the Rooneys? No. Scott, do you? No. Well, do you know if any shares are for sale? No. Scott, do you know? No. And do you, even if there were some for shares for sale, do you have that kind of money? Scott, no, of course I don't. And Scott says, well, I don't either. And then I said, okay, we're going to do this thing. Yeah. We just, you just got to be that way, guys, in your life. You just got to, there's times and you just got to say, I'm going to do it. I'm going. And 6 months later, we were the last two investors to be accepted into the Steelers that will ever be accepted. I don't know how we pulled it off, but that's the way you guys need to live. Even in the worst times of your life, flip the coin over and see what you can do. So anyway, that's enough. But I will say this. The fellow who's head of Coca-Cola, he said this one time, and as you leave your friends and so forth tomorrow, fellas, think about this. I'm going to plagiarize just a little bit on what Mr. Dyson said. Imagine life is a game in which you're juggling some 5 balls in the air. You name them work, family, who you're surrounded with tonight, your health. You learned about that here at Kiski, a lot of it. Your friends. Don't leave tomorrow and lose touch with your friends. And your character. And you're juggling them and keeping them all in the air. You will soon understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it'll bounce back. But the other 4 balls, family, health, friends, and your character are made of glass. If you drop one of these, they will be irrevocably scuffed, marked, nicked, damaged, or even shattered. They will never be the same. You must understand that and strive for balance in your life. So that's it. I could say so many things, but I will say this, just like George said, I can't wait to call you guys brothers tomorrow. And in closing, I want to say this. Finally, class of 2017, I think I can speak for all of here at Kiski. We are so very proud of you, and we will miss you. We are so very proud of you, and we will miss you. And now I'm going to follow the advice of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who said about speaking, be sincere, be brief, and be seated. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swank, for your remarks. And tonight, academic award recipients have been chosen by the faculty, and we're going to begin giving out the awards right now. We are proud to recognize these students for their dedication and scholastic achievement. Gentlemen, as I call your name, please enter the stage to my left, shake hands with Mr. Lombardo and receive your award. Pause briefly for a photograph and exit to the right and return to your seat. One of the requirements for graduation includes a research project which is undertaken throughout the year. The process begins in September when English classes choose topics to explore their papers. Outlines, bibliographies, note cards, and rough drafts are due periodically throughout the year. The final drafts are graded and stored in the school archives. The English department considers all of the completed papers, and 2 were chosen to receive prizes at this evening's assembly. I'm going to call both boys up at the same time. The second place award for this paper goes to Joe Lehman for his paper entitled Beats, Rhymes, Life and Culture, Rap and Its Cultural Significance Through Lyricism and Beats. And the award-winning paper entitled Alternative Education, A Solution to Serious Flaws in Traditional Schooling belongs to Ben Gardner. Gentlemen, please come up and receive your awards. Remember that. The Zachary J. Vallejos Award in History goes to Wells Watson. The Carl L. Arnold Award in Mathematics goes to Sterling Myers. The Excellence in World Language Award goes to Duan Webb. The Joseph H. Millar Award in English goes to Ben Gardner. The Eugene L. Biddle Award for Excellence in Science goes to Austin Jesko. The Excellence in Psychology Award goes to Thomas Rubino. The Excellence in Fine Arts Award goes to Sterling Myers. The Drama Award goes to James Thompson. The Music Award goes to Joe Lehman. The Photography Award goes to Elijah Brown. The Digital Media Award goes to CJ Collinet. It is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Colonel Sean Ray, who is a member of the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, graduate of West Point, and a former faculty member of the Kiski School, to present the United States Military Academy appointment. Mr. Sean Ray.
Thank you and good evening. It's a great honor to be back here at Kiski to finally present an appointment to the United States Military Academy. And you know, knowing that I got to tread lightly here, I got to be kind of careful because I know I'm actually being followed by somebody presenting for the Naval Academy. So I figured it's best to just to stick to the script. So I'm going to do that and remove all humor, knowing that I don't want to be outdone. But to the gentleman that I will not be presenting an appointment to, those going to the Naval Academy, I do want to thank Mr. Bruningson for bringing a Naval Academy graduate to be able to present those consolation prizes. So thank you. But seriously, it's another year where Kiski is continuing its proud tradition of sending young men to one of the service academies, or in this case, two. It's one of or they're both really, you know, two of the most respected institutions in the United States. And so right now for the United States Military Academy, I'd ask that Alec Belcastro please join me here on stage. Red X. It's not a target. All right, the young man standing beside me has done more than earn a scholarship to college. He has committed himself to selflessly serve our nation. Throughout the world right now, the armed forces are conducting a range of military operations on land, the sea, and in the air. They are adapting to an ever-evolving world. The resurgence of regional hegemons, adversaries, challenges to democracy, technological advancements, and the growing cyber threat, humanitarian crises, energy security, and economic struggles define today's geopolitical landscape and dominate the headlines. The military's roles worldwide are many, and this young man that stands before you is the future. He is the new face of a generation that will support and defend the Constitution of our homeland against all enemies, foreign and domestic. He will sacrifice his freedoms to protect our liberties and to support democracy abroad. The purpose of West Point is to produce leaders of character who are prepared to provide selfless service to our Army and to the nation. The Academy does not train them on a specific skill set or focus them on the latest and greatest technology or teach them about a single geographic area or culture. It prepares them for a dynamic world. Within the military, people, and more importantly, strong leaders are our greatest asset. There is no cookie-cutter solution to today's problems. There is no mathematical model to arrive at the answer. The Academy teaches leaders to intuit and adapt. Acceptance into the Academy, the best Academy, is testament enough to his academic and physical achievements. The United States Military Academy did not select Alec for an appointment based solely on his merits, but rather for the belief in his potential. Leadership is what sets him aside. He has demonstrated his leadership abilities in the classroom, around campus, and on the field. He was a leader to his peers, teammates, and underclassmen. But leadership carries its burdens off of the field and outside of the academic environment. Leaders must make sacrifices and must do the right thing when others are not looking. Kiski has been a great place to grow and develop as a leader, and it has prepared him for the next step of his journey. The Academy will now give him the necessary tools to become a successful military officer, leader of character, and upstanding gentleman. The Academy will prepare him to lead men and women, and one day he may be called upon to lead them into harm's way to defend our values and way of life. Alec enters the Academy for many reasons, but most importantly is the desire to serve something other than and greater than himself. Knowing the challenges that lie before him, he stands before you ready to take the first step towards protecting and serving our nation. I commend his achievements and his willingness to sacrifice. Congratulations, and I wish you the best of luck. Go Army, beat Navy.
I would now like to introduce Michael Bradley, former Navy lieutenant and submarine officer, to present the United States naval appointments. After graduating Kiski in 1997, Michael enrolled in the U.S. Naval Academy, where he majored in electrical engineering. He entered the Navy's Nuclear Power School after graduation, which is considered to be the most demanding academic program in the United States military. Michael left the Navy after 7 years and started his own consulting firm. He lives now in Edinburgh, Pennsylvania, with his wife, Sarah, and 3 sons. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Michael Bradley.
I wasn't ready for rebuttal there, Sean. No, but congratulations to Alec too. West Point's it's a great honor. So, thanks, Mr. B, for having me back. And just a quick aside, I didn't know Mr. Swank was going to be presenting tonight. I don't know. I know all the faculty know the Swank family very well, but their son Andy was a classmate of mine here, and I was one of those homesick guys coming to Kiski, and I was a post-grad, so I'm kind of a weird person coming in as a senior, and Andy couldn't have been a nicer person to me that first couple weeks and months of Kiski, and if you can please give him my regards, I'd appreciate it. So it's my great honor and privilege to stand before you today. This year's Kiski's proud tradition of sending young men into the United States Naval Academy continues with the following 5 gentlemen: Joseph Aquain, Tommy Brophy, Lucas Dishart, Jacob Ramos, and Hunter White. Please come to the stage. Okay. All right. These young men have done more than earned a scholarship to college. They have committed themselves selflessly to serving our nation. Kiski has a long tradition with the United States Naval Academy Foundation. Currently, there are 19 Kiski graduates enrolled at the Naval Academy in Annapolis, more than any other school in the country. Some of these current midshipmen are regular admits to the Naval Academy, while others come from the Foundation referrals. The admission office and academic offices at Kiski partner with the Foundation to craft a curriculum that will prepare our candidates for the Naval Academy and for the rigors that they will encounter once they matriculate to Annapolis. This is particularly apparent in the sciences and mathematics, especially calculus and physics. Our Foundation candidates enroll in our regular postgraduate program and essentially complete another senior year with 5 to 6 core classes, as well as the opportunity to participate in our athletic program, as well as extracurricular activities. We are proud to continue that long line again this year by recognizing these young men with their appointment to the United States Naval Academy. Congratulations on all your accomplishments, and we look forward to hearing from you about your new challenges and adventures in your very bright future. I think I speak for everyone in attendance when I say thank you in advance for your roles as commissioned officers in the United States service. I think Mr. Lombardi is going to help me. Also, I'm going to be presenting these gentlemen with a silver dollar. It's a tradition in the military that the person that gives you your first salute, you hand a silver dollar to. I don't know if they did it with you, sir. Yeah. When I received my commission here at Kiski back in '97, the gentleman that I can't remember, it was an Army colonel, he gave me my silver dollar, and I kept it for 4 years. And then when I graduated and threw my cap in the air and put my officer cap on, the MIDI that gave me my first salute, I gave that silver dollar to. So I thought I'd continue the tradition. If you guys ever come back in 20 years, you can do it to those guys. So,
Sorry, I was just making sure that Michael didn't leave any extra silver dollars on the floor. It's okay. Thanks to Michael and to Sean for joining us. Great to have both of you back. I'm very honored to recognize the following students for their good work and their outstanding achievements. First, the Clifford Brett Award is given to a member of the junior class who's been elected the next head prefect of Kiski School. Please join me in congratulating our head prefect for 2017-18, TJ Spahn. The Bortz Improvement Award is given to a member of the senior class who's shown marked improvements throughout the year in academics, athletics, and extracurricular activities. I'm pleased to present this award to Cully Colantino. The Harry Stuhldreher Award is given in memory of Harry Stuhldreher, Kiski class of 1920, to a member of the senior class who's made outstanding contributions to the school's athletic program. I'm pleased to present this award to Divine Buckram. The William McKillop Award is presented to a member of the graduating class who, in the opinion of the faculty, has at all times displayed chivalrous conduct on the athletic fields. This year's winner is Noah Giovanelli. The E. William Turley Jr. Memorial Award is given in loving memory of Bill Turley of the class of 1964 to a member of the senior class who most closely embodies the qualities of gentleness, propriety, and concern for others that so personified Bill Turley. This year's recipient is Joe Lehman. The Jacob Ziegler Award is presented to a member of the senior class who, in the opinion of the faculty, has contributed the most cheer to the school year. I'm pleased to present this award to Timothy Price. The Kiski International Award is presented to an international student who is a member of the senior class and who's made significant contributions to our school. This year's recipient is Bob Zhang. The Bates Award is given in memory of William Palmer Bates, class of 1929, who was killed in service to our country in 1945. It is awarded to a member of the senior class who most exemplifies the qualities of honor, sacrifice, and concern for others through dedication to his school and country. I'm proud to present this award to Hunter White. The Faculty Award is presented in recognition of the qualities of citizenship and personal responsibility that have made the lives and the duties of the faculty worthwhile and rewarding. I'm pleased to present this award to two seniors, Quinn Commandant and Mark Getz. Tonight, we inaugurate a new award in honor of Mr. Swank's father, Russ Swank Jr., who graduated in 1942. On Sunday, and I should mention, after hearing that report card, I'm glad it's not an academic award. It's on Saturday afternoon, during football seasons, Mr. Swank Jr. could be reliably found on the sideline, standing next to Headmaster Pigeon, always handsomely dressed in a coat and tie, eye twinkling and proudly cheering on our team. Mr. Swank was a longtime supporter of the school, and his wise counsel helped guide us through many decades. Most of all, he was a good friend to all Kiski boys, and we appreciate and remember his legacy. I'd like to ask Mr. Swank Russ to come up and help me present this award. I'll read it and you can do the photo op. Yeah. The Russell C. Swank Jr. Award is given in memory of Russ Swank Jr., class of 1942, to a member of the senior class whose optimistic outlook and positive school spirit has had a beneficial impact on his classmates and on our school. This year, we present this award to two seniors, George Davison and Jimmy Thompson. The Andrew Wilson Award is presented in memory of Kiski's first headmaster to a member of the senior class who best exemplifies the principles on which Dr. Wilson's beloved school was founded. This year, the award is presented to Tommy Rubino. The John A. Pigeon Headmasters Award is presented to a member of the graduating class who, in the opinion of the faculty and the headmaster, and through exemplary accomplishments, dedicated leadership and uncompromising habits of mind and heart, embodies the admirable qualities and high standards of John A. Pigeon, who served Kiski as a teacher, coach, and headmaster for 45 years. I'm proud to present this award to Omar Ward. The Kiski Award is presented to a member of the graduating class who, in the opinion of the faculty, through his scholastic achievement, leadership, breadth of interest, and high personal standards, has been of great value to the school. It's an honor to present this award to Ben Gardner. Looks like there's one left. The William Greer Award is presented in memory of William V. Greer, class of 1914, the member of the senior class who's compiled the highest scholastic average. Please join me in congratulating the valedictorian for the class of 2017, Sterling Myers. Well, I'm very pleased to formally extend my congratulations to the class of 2017 on everything they've accomplished. So this is the time when I pass on a few pearls of wisdom fashioned around a central theme like follow your dreams, unleash your creativity, be a good man. As I was searching for a topic this year, I asked myself, what's the one thing that I know now that I wish I'd known when I was your age? And there are a lot of things, for sure. But tonight I'm going to talk to you about the virtues of humor. Mark Twain said humor is mankind's greatest blessing. The minute it crops up, all our hardnesses yield, all our irritations and resentments fade away, and a sunny spirit takes their place. Over the past 15 years in my job as headmaster, I've certainly had highs and lows and challenges and rewards, but if I had to point to one thing that's kept me balanced and relatively sane, it would be always keeping my sense of humor. We've heard that laughter is the best medicine, and that's true. Humor relieves stress and elevates moods and enhances creativity and makes you more resilient. It's especially powerful when you're managing conflict and reducing tension when emotions are running high. Learning to use humor to smooth over disagreements and communicate in a way that builds relationships is an essential life skill. But using humor effectively is sort of an art. You have to know what's appropriate in a given situation and what the boundaries and limits are. Now, speaking generally, self-deprecating humor is a pretty safe place to start. Everyone loves people who don't take themselves too seriously and can gently make fun of their own weaknesses. Even if the joke falls flat or comes out wrong, the only person you've offended is yourself. And nobody was better at self-deprecating humor than Ronald Reagan. When President Reagan ran for re-election in 1984, he was 73 years old, and his opponent, Walter Mondale, was 56. Mondale questioned Reagan's age and his capacity to endure the grueling demands of the presidency. In a televised debate, President Reagan deflected the issue by saying, "I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I refuse to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience." The crowd and Walter Mondale erupted in laughter. And a couple months later, President Reagan was reelected by winning 49 out of 50 states. People loved his sense of humor. Sometimes humor can be used very thoughtfully and very gently to diffuse an emotionally tense situation. Last summer, my friend and colleague, Dr. Lane, was in the hospital. And he'd been diagnosed with a recurrence of cancer, and his prognosis was not good. The cancer had spread, and he developed a brain tumor. And I went to visit him the day after the tumor had been biopsied, and I just wasn't sure what to expect. I found him in his hospital bed, and aside from the portions of his hair and his beard that had been shaved off for the procedure, he was his usual spry self. But I didn't know what to say. I had a lump in my throat. And then suddenly I blurted out, "I don't know who your barber is, but I think you're entitled to a refund." And Dr. Lane responded with his trademark, big, growly belly laugh. And we spent the next hour talking about teaching and life and stories about Kiski. And he passed away a couple weeks after that. But I'll always cherish that memory of our last visit together and remember Dr. Lane as a great man whose sense of humor helped him through some very difficult times. Humor can help get a failing meeting or a conversation back on track. If you can inject humor at the right time, in the right setting, it's like hitting the reset button. It lets everybody take a breath and regroup. Now, during my time as headmaster, we've completed, happily so, dozens of construction projects on campus. But I have to tell you that some of the most combative meetings I've ever experienced in my life have been what we call job progress meetings. Now, these meetings usually happen about every 2 weeks during a construction project and involve me, the construction manager, the architects, the general contractor, the site supervisor, our director of plant operations. All the seats at the big conference table in my office are filled up. And the most heated meetings are the ones where we're in a crunch to get a project done. As many of you know, we were way behind schedule on the athletic center, the new athletic center. It was supposed to be finished in August. We had a job progress meeting in September, and everybody at the meeting was just stressed out and cranky. The contractor presented a timeline for completion, and the construction manager said, there's no way you're going to be able to get the locker rooms done in 2 weeks. And the contractor says, well, the only reason we can't get the locker room done and the reason that it's late is because the architect issued a change order, and the architect said that the only reason that he had to issue a change order is because there were site conditions that the contractor should have identified but didn't. And so before you know it, everybody at the table is talking over each other, and the tone is getting louder and angrier, and I really felt like a fist fight was about to break out. So in the middle of all the chaos, I just start hitting my hand on the table, and slowly things start to quiet down until nobody was talking. Having captured everyone's attention, I said, my little boy Sam was at daycare the other day, and all the children were playing outside. Sam went up to his teacher and said, my penis is hurting. He was grabbing himself in the way little boys do when they have to go to the bathroom, so naturally the teacher said, do you have to use the potty? Sam said, no. When he repeated his concern with even more urgency, the teacher decided to take him inside and see what was going on. When she looked in his pants, she discovered that a fire ant had attached itself to his business. That's a bad day. She removed it very carefully. Sam said thanks. He went outside and started to play again. To this point, everybody's looking at me a little puzzled at this construction meeting. And I said, now look, I don't know exactly what our problems are with this timeline and exactly what the issues are, but as far as I know, nobody here has a fire ant in their pants. So how bad can it really be? Everybody had a good laugh, and then the tone of the meeting became much more agreeable. It's a true story. That type of disruptive humor can also be used to calm a situation that's tense or angry, since it's hard to be mad and laugh at the same time. So when you're in the middle of an argument with a friend or a roommate, the ability to find humor can sometimes expose the absurd parts of what you might be fighting about. It's about helping both sides to take themselves a little bit less seriously. Of course, humor does not work in every situation. And it almost never works when it's delivered in an unkind way. Saying something hurtful or insulting, even when it's framed as a joke, usually has the opposite effect of what you intended. Now, before I came back to Kiski in 2002, I was the upper school head at Nichols, which is a co-ed day school in Buffalo, New York. And as the upper school head, I ran the all-school morning meetings, which happened 2 or 3 times a week. And with the students and the faculty, it was a big auditorium. There were maybe 500 people at these meetings. And it was always a challenge getting everything done so that we weren't late for first period class. Sometimes I'd be thrown a curveball, something that would be added at the last minute and usually cause us to run overtime. Now, the chair of the English department was a fellow named Mr. Stratton. And he'd been at Nichols for decades and was adored by the school community. Now, Mr. Stratton was a sort of frustrated Shakespearean actor. He considered himself to have certain talents in this area. And from time to time, he'd come to me when I had everything organized and we were about to start the meeting, and he'd say, "Chris, I'd like to offer a dramatic reading today." And Mr. Stratton was in his late 60s at the time, but because of his stature and his standing, it was really tough to say no. On one of these occasions, we were short on time, but still, at the end of the meeting, I invited Mr. Stratton to take the stage. That morning, he was doing a scene from King Lear, a very long scene from King Lear. And as Mr. Stratton went on and on and on, I was standing by the stage getting more and more irritated, knowing that I'd have a steady stream of unhappy teachers stopping by my office complaining that their first period class had been cut short. When he finished, his performance was greeted with warm applause as I stepped to the podium. I should have just said, "Thanks for your attention. Everyone's dismissed to first period." But instead, for reasons I still can't explain, and with words that still haunt me, I said, 500 people in the audience, Mr. Stratton, I said, "Gee, Mr. Stratton portraying a demented egomaniacal tyrant, that must have been a real stretch." And I knew instantaneously that I hadn't gently crossed a line, I had jumped over a line. My misguided joke was greeted with loud, sustained boos from students and teachers alike. I had never been publicly heckled or disrespected before or since. It was not a pleasant experience. And I did indeed have a steady stream of teachers and students stopping by my office that day, not to complain that the meeting ran long, but to ask me how I could possibly be so mean to our beloved Mr. Stratton. I offered a public apology at the next school meeting and managed to smooth things over, but this whole thing was a big mess. And I learned a couple of lessons from it. First is that extemporaneous humor, trying to make up a joke on the spot, is very tricky to do. Very dangerous, too. Second, unkind humor is ill-advised, not a good idea. And third, and most importantly, never poke fun at Mr. Stratton. So as you embark on your college careers in a couple of months, you're bound to experience happy times and sad times and peaks and valleys and successes and failures. Through it all, try to keep things in perspective with a sense of humor. That doesn't mean you shouldn't face challenges with a serious of purpose. You should. Just remember that you can soften some of the worst blows that life delivers with humor. Once you've found laughter, no matter what kind of a tough situation you're in, you'll know that you can get through it. You'll take many lessons from your time at Kiski, whether you've been here for 4 years or 1, and at different times in your life, you'll hear the voices of the people you've encountered here, teachers and coaches and dorm masters and classmates and friends. Listen to those voices and let the wisdom of their comments and their actions and examples guide your thinking and inform your decisions. I know that you'll make us all very, very proud. Good luck. God bless you.
Much of tonight recognized the good and hard work and accomplishments that you've all completed here at your time at Kiski. At this point, I would like for you to think briefly about the future. May I introduce Steve Szilagyi, Associate Headmaster for Institutional Advancement.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's my honor to be here to talk about our class captain program. And I just got to say, the fire ant, only at a boys' school. This is a great senior class. We're so proud of you guys, and I'd like to ask our class captains to come up. I'm going to call out their names, ask them to come up. We have a special class captain pin, which we will give to them, and they'll wear proudly to the graduation tomorrow and then ever after. And I will read a little citation once they're all up here. So let me go ahead and bring them up to the stage. Divine Buckram. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention, if you guys would hold the applause till I get them all up here, I'd appreciate it. Quinn Commandant. Arturo Cardona. George Davison. Ben Gardner. Joe Lehman. Tom Rubino. Omar Ward. Bob Zhang. And Qi Zhang. Should we get a quick photo? Okay, guys, wait, I'm going to read this. Okay, please know that these gentlemen have been selected to serve the class of 2017 as class captains. Class captains play a vital leadership and external relations role for the Kiski School and our Development and Alumni Relations Office. Each class captain serves as a key and necessary liaison between his classmates, our Office of Advancement, and the school. A class captain consistently connects, informs, and communicates with his classmates to promote an active and ongoing friendship with and dedication to Kiski and the school's plans for the future. Each class captain will work diligently with Kiski, his class, and the Office of Advancement to generate loyal support that will sustain and steward the school for many, many years to come. Please join me in congratulating this superb group of class leaders for receiving this important and distinguished honor. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Program. There's one more presentation we'd like to share with you. I'd like to thank Craig O'Lear for his help in putting together a heartwarming congratulatory video that celebrates our soon-to-be graduates' passage to becoming the outstanding men that they surely have become today. Enjoy.
Yes, I feel my life is better. So is the my life is better because you're a part of it. Friend, yes, I feel my life is better, and so is
money.
Graduation will be held at the Ross Athletic Center and begins promptly at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Faculty should all meet at Old Main at 10:30, dressed in caps and gowns. Seniors, you have 3 commitments remaining in order to ensure your tomorrow's proceedings go as planned. First, please attend a special breakfast in your honor at the Student Swank Center at 9 a.m. promptly. You will receive a special graduation tie at breakfast. Secondly, a second class photo will be taken on the steps of Old Main, weather permitting, at 10 a.m. Please come dressed in your graduation attire for the photo. This means clean white shirt, blue blazer, gray dress pants, dark socks, dress shoes, and a belt. And thirdly and lastly, after we line up, we will process to commencement, where we confer our highest award, a Kiski School Diploma. Thank you again for this exceptional evening, and we will all see you tomorrow. Thank you.